It's not over yet because we've got the eclipse earthquake coming up on Monday. This is the Rebel Call Channel. Welcome to today's show. Is that a Freudian slip, or is it just an old man slipping the tongue because he doesn't know what's going on? Well, we'll find out come Monday, because apparently it's not over yet. Apparently, if you're in the line of totality, there's a chance that you're going to be in the line for an earthquake eclipse. Now, of course, that could just be an accidental slip, but the way that he went on in that sentence made you think that there was a lot more to it, because it wasn't just a slip, it was a whole 20-second clip of him talking about how there's more to come. And it's going to be quite the transformative experience. Of course, transformation is one of the big words we always hear in the New World Order. Transform, rebirth, regrowth, balance. A lot of those words are floating around with the eclipse. And again, there's a lot of theories out there about things potentially going on during the eclipse, but I think one of the things that we have to keep our eye on is a simulated event. In other words, if they decide to simulate an earthquake, and by simulate I mean create an earthquake using their earthquake machine that I've covered many times that they do have the ability to do. Anybody can look it up. All these people drive around in their Tesla mobiles and they don't even realize the origins of Tesla. They're like, is Elon Musk Tesla? Is he the guy behind, is his middle name Tesla? They don't even have a clue about Tesla, the origins of Tesla. And of course, weather modification, weather manipulation, and the earthquake machine. All things that are patent, that exist, that you can look up for yourself, that nobody can deny the existence of. It's just a matter of what you want to believe. And if you're willing to believe that these people who are in positions of power are actually going to use this type of weaponized weather against their civilians. They've already proven that they are doing that. So
We have pizza party Friday. We will fight you over scheduled raises. Please be discreet.
They are doing that. So there's theories out there about a potential simulated man-made earthquake during the eclipse. Of course, this could be done as a way to manipulate and deceive Christians, to convince them into something that they want to convince them into. Again, whether it's a herding mechanism, whether it's people falling for rapture theories, there's a lot that's at play. But one of the things I want to cover, in addition to the ability to create an earthquake, to simulate some type of what some will perceive as a biblical event during the eclipse, to the actual eclipse itself, because there's a lot of people out there that think the eclipse itself is something that they're manipulating and that they control. Now, there's other people out there that would say that's completely crazy. Well, we have to be open to all sorts of theories when it comes to this stuff, because they do have the ability to block out the sun. They do have the artificial sun that they have launched in China, and nobody thinks anything more than that. They're just like, oh, they have an artificial sun. What does that mean? Well, if somebody's making an artificial sun, and we have people who can create earthquakes, they can obviously manipulate a lot of these events, and a lot of people can be deceived into thinking some of these things are biblical, when in fact they could be manufactured. So when we see the picture that they keep showing us of what an eclipse looks like, right? They show us the Earth, the circular, the globe Earth. Then they show us what comes out of it and how the sun gets shielded by it and how the actual eclipse happens. But it also, if you look at this symbol, it looks exactly like the sigil of Lucifer. And it's important for people out there to know that, right? Look at that symbol, the sigil of Lucifer, which I've exposed many times over, which I'll get into the meaning of it in a minute. And you can see that this matches up to a T. You'll also notice in the sigil of Lucifer at the bottom, you can see the V at the bottom, and you can see the compass. So you can see the Freemasons' affiliation with the sigil of Lucifer. Now, it's no secret that the god that Freemasons worship is Lucifer, right? Well, there's so much doctrine out there, from Albert Pike talking about Lucifer, the light bearer, the one that they worship, to even Luciferianism or Satanism, essays inside of Freemasonry, inside of a lot of their texts, that literally just pretty much openly talk about Freemasonry and how the God of this world is the one that's revealed to them. Many times throughout history, there's been many things that have come out that have been alleged hoaxes, they've called hoaxes, where people have addressed Albert Pike and how Freemasons really worship Lucifer. There's the Leo taxol theory. Of course, it's just one of those things that happens where people start exposing these people, and then they make propaganda to make it sound like it's a witch hunt. This stuff all the time, right? They come out and they go, oh, this thing, the law made it up out of thin air. Don't ask any questions and believe what we. Same thing anytime Freemasonry is actually exposed. So the sigil of Lucifer appears as a chalice which represents creation, the fertile darkness awaiting and ready for untold possibilities. The purpose of it is that an instrument of visual invocation during ritual. By performing the appropriate ritual, the sigil acts as a gateway to invoke and bestow the power and presence of Lucifer. So we're talking about invocation. The sigil itself being a visual invocation during a ritual to invoke and bring about demonic entities, right? Or as they'll call them, just spirits. But the power and presence of Lucifer, the sigil of Lucifer. So when the sigil of Lucifer lines up, of course, with the way that the eclipse is supposed to mirror and cover the sun and black out the sun, we need to look at these things as not just spiritual war, but as deceptions that they're using to manipulate and bring about massive invocations of spirits, right? So in addition to that coincidence, of course, with the sigil of Lucifer and what we're shown the eclipse looks like, and again, you can look at it with your own eyes, and you can see how it matches up, how the sigil actually matches that, right? Then we hear and see throughout Freemasonry, the ones who worship Lucifer, how important the eclipse is to them. How important the sun and the moon and the alignment of the two actually create what they call a marriage between the sun and the moon, which creates a rebirth and ultimately leads to a balance and a rebalance. Balance is key. Balance and duality, these are things as above, so below, that Baphomet doctrine that they all follow, right? So there's a very good chance that they could create some type of a simulated event during this. There's a lot of possibilities. And again, I've talked about openly what I believe is going to be a massive, massive spiritual attack during this time period, that they're going to be summoning something, and we probably won't see it with our own eyes. But when you hear that first clip, it certainly makes you think. When a guy's on TV and he goes, well, it's not over yet after an earthquake hits New York and New Jersey, he says it's not over yet because we still have the earthquake eclipse and the eclipse of the earthquake, and how there's going to be a transformation occurring for anybody who's in the line of totality, right? That's a little bit frightening if you think about it, that they're saying that openly on TV. Now, you can look at it and you can say, well, he might have just misspoke, or was it a Freudian slip? You tell me when you hear that stuff. But when we look at the actual signs and symbols that surround the eclipse, we know that a massive invocation is going to occur, because it's not just the Lucifer sigil that we see. What else do we see? We see that specific date and that invocation that Aleister Crowley did, summoning Horus, right? Horus, the all-seeing eye of Horus. Horus, Lucifer, right? So there's a lot of things spiritually going on here with soil being churned up. But don't think for one second that they can't try to mimic and recreate, or try to mimic and create a false event surrounding this to deceive Christians. There's other stories out there from the New York Post. Solar eclipse 2024 rituals. An exorcist reveals how to balance energy and clear the way for change, right? So openly, we have a lot of mainstream media outlets, again, talking about witchcraft and sorcery, something that I always get told is just made up, right? I cover it all the time, and they go, oh, this guy's a nut job. He believes this stuff is real, even though they show it to us day in and day out. Then when time periods like this come along, eclipse or a blood moon, there's all these stories out there about, what can you do to summon energy and summon spirits and bring about positivity, and nobody realizes that they're just getting you to practice witchcraft and sorcery without telling you that's what you're doing. You're like, oh yeah, well, it can bring about change, right? Listen to this article talking about some of the stuff that's going to be going on during the eclipse. Darkness cometh. On Monday, April 8th, we will experience a total eclipse in the fire forward, progress at all costs sign of Aries. A large portion of the United States will fall within or close to the path of totality, meaning many will witness this visual phenomenon, and all among us will feel its effects. Acclaimed exorcist author and energy specialist Rachel Stavis is on hand to explain how to navigate in the dark and to find a path forward within it. She says everything begins right now.
Hello, Moto.